Alright, welcome to another Game Smash podcast. As always, I'm your host, William Liberty, and with me is...
Fawaz Muhammad Yusuf.
And we got a pretty packed podcast for today. We got the Spring Fever wrapping up for Sony. Is the indie boom sustainable? Silent Hill's being cancelled. Batman Arkham Knight gets a new trailer. Mad Max gameplay. Black Ops 3 gets a trailer. Cinder gets fully revealed. Two Dawn of War games, Dawn of War Regicide and Warhammer Total War. The paid mod fiasco, and some more questions. But let's talk about what we played this week. So I basically played some more Bloodborne. You know, big surprise. My goal is I'm gonna put most of my time into trying to beat it. But I will say a couple things that are kind of neat that I've discovered. One, the really interesting thing about the game is that there's certain areas that if you get to, you act like there's a skull that if you get to after beating a boss and you touch it, it actually changes the time of day.
Okay.
So it progresses the story. But what I really like about it is that you can activate this skull whenever you want. So it allows you to visit areas in different times. So you can visit this area in the daytime or at night, and it actually changes the entire area completely. Like the enemies react differently. There's actually new enemies will spawn and stuff like that. So
okay.
I got to that and it was really cool. And also I love the fact that there's so much Cthulhu love in this game. Like just all the Cthulhu love, and it's pretty awesome. But yeah, that's basically what I've been up to. So what you been playing for Waz?
Well, I picked up Devil May Cry Special Edition because of a number of reasons. One was that I heard some more details about Devil May Cry 4, the re-release, that weren't very... I really haven't been impressed with what I've been hearing about the game. So I was like, you know what? And then also I'm a big hack and slash fan, and then Devil May Cry 3 is considered one of the greatest hack and slashes of all time.
Yeah, sure.
And I've never played it, so I'm like, well, that's not a very good look. So I picked up the special edition. First of all, that shit is hard to find.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because Capcom have stopped producing it. I had to go to Bayshore to get it, and I think Bayshore is like the only one in Ottawa that had a copy.
Wow.
And they had one copy left. So yeah, I picked it up. It's a lot of fun. It's hard. But it's really fair because like I went from I'd play against the boss and I'd be learning boss's patterns and all that stuff, and I get bodied, and then I'd come back and I beat the boss without using any of my items. It was, and this is just normal, by the way. I haven't started playing on the harder difficulties yet. It gets pretty crazy, but it's a lot of fun. I like it. I mean, the camera, man, you gotta design that camera. Yeah. I better never meet him because that person deserves to be shot. But one good thing about the camera is that most enemies don't attack you when they're off camera.
Okay, that's pretty good.
So that's good. Like projectile, there's some enemies. There's this one enemy that does this dash move. They can do it when they're off cameras, but enemies that shoot projectiles, for example, they don't shoot at you when you can't see them. So it's actually cool. You can use the camera to your benefit, and you can walk in such a way that only if you have a lot of enemies to kill, you can move the camera such that you can only see a few of them, so you're not fighting all of them at the same time. But the camera is still a piece of shit. Other than that, the game's a lot of fun. I made it to this vampire chick boss last night, but she bodied me, so I'm gonna give it another shot later on today. Yeah. But yeah, Devil May Cry 3. Well, I bought the special edition, but I don't plan on playing 1 or 2. I'm definitely never touching 2 again. I'm gonna avoid that game.
Yeah, 2 is a legendarily brutal.
But I might try 1. People have told me different things about 1, but I don't know if I can go back to 1 after playing 3. So we'll see. Oh, one last thing about the game that's weird is that the cutscenes, because the game has they booted up the HD graphics. They smoothed it out a little bit. Some of the cutscenes are in HD, and some of the cutscenes are ported directly from PS2,
Oh
which
God.
is very, very weird. You know, like the game opened up and I was like, wow, this game looks like shit. I thought this was the HD collection. And then the game start, and then you start playing the game, and I'm like, oh wow, this game looks really cool. And then another cutscene comes up, and it's like, wow, these dudes, this is a very bad port.
They cut some corners.
Yeah, but yeah, that's what I've been playing.
All right. Well, moving on to that, Sony's Spring Fever wraps up. Lots of different sales and all different things that Sony had on the store. But let's get our verdict. Fawaz, so what did you think of Spring Fever for Sony?
Whew, that's a tough one. Okay, so I'll just go through the games that I ended up buying, right? I bought Helldivers, I bought Hotline Miami 2, I bought Bastion, and I'm probably gonna buy Shovel Knight down the line. But I only bought three of the 7 games. I only bought 3 of them. Helldivers was a lot of fun, but it was broken as shit. They actually released a patch yesterday that fixed a lot of the problems. But at this point, the hype is kind of dead. My friends don't really play it anymore, so I'm just waiting for the expansion to come out. Hotline Miami 2, wow. At this point, I have to say that I wasn't impressed with this game. I still haven't beaten it, and it came out. I bought it. What was that? March? Yeah, March 10th.
Yeah.
So that's over a month ago. I still haven't beaten it because honestly, first of all, the game was way too long. Like, it's way too long, almost twice as long as Hotline Miami. And some of the stages just weren't fun. Like the areas were too big. Remember how I was talking about how enemies in Devil May Cry don't shoot you when they're off screen? Yeah, unfortunately, Hotline Miami does not follow that same rule.
Yeah.
So a lot of the times you get killed, and then Devil May Cry, you don't die off one hit. Hotline Miami, you do, and then a lot of times you die from enemies you couldn't even see, which is just frustrating. So the game wasn't a whole lot of fun. I can't lie. Bastion, I'm enjoying it.
Yeah.
I'm not putting like I played for like an hour every now and then. I've been really busy with work and Devil May Cry, so I play for like an hour every now and then. But yeah, it's fun. It's fun. That dude's voice is awesome.
I know, it's just the best.
Yeah, I was gonna pick up Shovel Knight, but then I heard a rumor that it was gonna be free next month. So I'll wait until next month's PlayStation Plus games are announced.
Fair enough.
Before I buy it. But yeah, overall it was okay, I guess. Most of these games look like they'd be fun if I give them a shot. I just don't feel like giving them a shot. You know, but the ones I did, I think Helldivers was awesome. Through all the bugs and all that crap, I still played it more than I played Hotline Miami 2. Which was a game that was fully functional, no bugs, just not fun. So Helldivers was fun, Bastion was fun. So I guess 2 out of 3 right now. That's what 70%. And I'm pretty sure I'll enjoy Shovel Knight when I end up getting it. So I think Spring Fever was a success. I hope Sony. I hope this becomes an annual thing like Microsoft's Summer of the Arcade. Do they still do that, by the way?
I think they do. I'm not sure, but basically my opinions on Spring Fever, I think it was good. I think it was a solid success, and I think they had a pretty good selection of games. And you know, I'm always loving people picking up Bastion because I want more people to know how awesome that game is. I think it was pretty good. Definitely, I think for me, Bastion and Helldivers, I think were probably the best in my opinion because I really liked Helldivers as well. And I also like the fact that I picked it up for the PS3, and during this time period, it's a special edition in which when you buy it, you buy it for both the PS3, PS4, and Vita. So once I got my PS4 soon after, all I had to do was re-download. I didn't actually have to re-buy the game or any bullshit like that. Yeah. So I was actually pretty impressed with.
Yeah,
crossplay. But yeah, I think overall Spring Fever, pretty good.
One thing of note, though, is that the sales were awful because they had weekly sales as well, and we never spoke about them on the podcast because they were all awful. Yeah. The only one that was good was the Dragon Age Inquisition sale. It dropped like $30.
Which is pretty
but that happened like 2 days after I bought Dragon Age Inquisition.
Oh,
so,
that's the worst. Oh, that's the worst.
Yeah. Other than that, all the other sales were just.
Yeah, kind of But moving on from that, well, let's talk about the indie boom. But a lot of people have started to talk about how we're in the golden age of the indie games. You know, we're getting a lot of really good indie games. You know, Bastion, Transistor, Shell.
Spring Fever.
Yeah, exactly. But a lot of people also bring the question like, will this continue? Like, how long will this boom of indie games continue? And I guess my thought, I'll just get my 10 cents out first. I think it's probably gonna last a while. I think in a really odd way, indie games are really really popular. Like they're really really popular under a certain demographic. The only thing that I'm concerned about is that I am getting really really tired of the pixel art. Like it's not a bad idea, and I do like the retro nostalgia that comes with it, but it starts to lose its wow factor when you see it a million times. It's sort of a weird thing how it's like we didn't see any pixel art games for a long time, and then all of a sudden a bunch of pixel art games came out, and it was like, oh my god, pixel art is coming back, and now it's like, oh, I'm done with it. I'm tired of it. So I don't know. That's basically what I think about the indie boom so far. I think it's led to a lot of really interesting and creative games, but I just want to see more creative art styles as well. Because we do have a lot of pixel art games. But anyway, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I definitely think it's sustainable. It's going to be sustainable going forward because I mean, it's just the nature of independent games. You know, they don't like so long as they don't need anybody else to, you know, it's, you know, a lot of them are funded through like Kickstarter and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, you know, so long as people are interested in them, they will keep getting made. I agree with you. We need to see more unique art styles. But where I disagree is that I think there are a lot of unique art styles already. Have you heard of this game called Cuphead?
Shit. I haven't really heard. I've heard the name. I haven't seen any gameplay of it.
Okay. Did you ever watch? What's that? The original Mickey Mouse cartoon, Steamboat Willie, right?
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I think I know what you're talking about. It's that retro old style cartoony game.
Yeah, it literally looks like Steamboat Willie, and it like when I saw footage of it, I thought it was a cartoon. I didn't know it was a game, and then my friend was like, "Nah, it's an indie game that's coming to the Xbox One." But yeah, okay, like off the top of my head, you look at Ori and the Blind Forest, you look at Cuphead, you look at what was Helldivers, you look at Helldivers. And that's like three completely different art styles right there. You look at Transistor, a completely different art style. There, I mean, sure, you know, there's I think pixel art is the most popular out of all of them, but like I think there's a lot of variety in terms of art styles out there, and in terms of gameplay too. So I definitely think this this is going to stay. Like I think it's only going to get better. Going forward, the whole indie situation, which has me excited because you know it's similar to movies. You know, like movies got they you know like you have your movies with your $100 million budgets. When you're investing that much money into a video game, you can't take many risks. Like that's just sorry. If we're investing that much money into a movie or video game, you can't take that many risks. But then when you have your independent game, you can try different things. You don't have to. The games are less generic. Is pretty much the point I'm getting to.
It allows the creators to try some different ideas and that's not necessarily have been tried out before because they don't have to necessarily appeal to the very broad demographics. And yeah, for sure. Like they don't have to always have their guy be a gun-toting space marine.
You know, you literally took the words out of my mouth.
I know you well.
Yeah, I was thinking of the best way to word that, and thank you very much. There we go. Yeah, you can. It doesn't always have to be a first-person shooter, and the protagonist doesn't always. Like one funny thing I've noticed is that a lot of people complain, rightfully so, that there aren't enough female protagonists in gaming. Like this is a fact. You know, like developers go with what's safe. But if you look at indie games, there are a lot of female protagonists in indie games, which is because, you know, independent developers can take quote-unquote risks. Because, I mean, it really shouldn't be considered a risk making a protagonist a woman. Oh, my God, she has a vagina. But, you know, Yeah, that's just my thoughts on it.
Yeah.
I definitely think it's sustainable, and I think it's a very good time to be a gamer because we have a lot of options now. We don't have to
Yeah.
rely on the $80 because 80 it's what $79 plus tax. $80
Yeah.
video games. You can experiment with some with smaller games. One thing I would like to see going forward though is because they're indie games, a lot of them are really short. Is like say you have an indie game that's successful, maybe the sequel comes out with more financial backing, but then that's
it's hard.
that
It's hard.
yeah. But anyway, yeah, that's my thoughts on the situation. Definitely an exciting time to be a gamer.
Yeah, and hopefully it'll continue on.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about things that unfortunately will not continue on. So Silent Hills. Silent Hills, which was a really cool Konami game. They had a teaser called PT, which was this really odd, experimental, like, horror game. Konami said, canceled. Just cancel it. Yeah, Konami. You're so full of great decisions. You fire Hideo Kojima, and you cancel Silent Hills. Are you gonna just like why? The two things that you shouldn't have done, you decided to do. Konami.
I'm not sure what's going on at Konami right now, to be honest, because I mean, Metal Gear Solid is their it's what keeps the lights on, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Hideo Kojima, he's probably done over there. So
yeah.
So then Silent Hills is another one of their bigger franchises, and it's been shit for a while now, and then they canceled a Silent Hills game that was that people were really excited for. So I honestly don't know. I don't know what's going on over there, but things aren't looking good for Konami, that's for sure.
Yeah. I mean, like, I feel like there could have been a couple of things. Maybe it was just because the fact that it was kind of supposed to be a Kojima and I forget it. I can't pronounce his name. Gel Del Toro.
Oh yeah, yeah. I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. It was supposed to be like a collaboration kind of title, and because he kind of left Konami with the Metal Gear thing. It's kind of, I should have realized that this game was probably going to die really quickly. But I was still holding on to that shred of hope. Bless you. The shred of hope that it would still continue. Because I was really interested in the concept, and it looked like it had a lot of potential. So it's just a shame. It's just a shame. But on some better news, Batman Arkham Knight got a new trailer. Showed off all the good guys, good old Jim Gordon, Robin, Nightwing, and announced dual play, which is not what you think it is. So I'll let you explain this one for us.
Okay, so people are watching this trailer and they're seeing Batman and his sidekicks, duel it out together, and everybody's excited. Oh my God, co-op is finally coming to the Arkham series. And then they're like, hey, you want co-op? Okay, so we'll give you the exact opposite of co-op. Batman now you can control Batman. You can switch between Batman and his sidekick simultaneously, which would probably lead to some very interesting combat scenarios. But it's not co-op, so naturally people are excited. Are disappointed.
Yeah, I was about to say.
But yeah, it was a really cool trailer. It showed off a bunch of stuff. Oracle, Jim Gordon, Azrael, which was a surprise. I didn't know he was going to be in this game.
Yeah, I think he was actually in Arkham City, but he was like hidden away.
Oh, okay.
Like he was like an Easter egg, essentially.
Okay, but yeah, he's gonna be in that. So yeah, it's just more reasons to. I mean, honestly, it actually sounds like a cool mode because when you mix that with the combat of the Arkham series, it could probably lead to some very, very cool, interesting combat scenarios. They show some nice looking combos in there. So truth be told, once you get over the initial disappointment that it isn't co-op,
it looks really cool.
Yeah, it looks really cool. Plus, I mean, truth be told, if it was a like co-op. Who would pick being Robin? Like, like let's be honest. I have a choice between being Batman and being Robin. I'll never be Robin. I'll be Batman, or I won't play. So screw you.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah. Other than that, nothing new on the Arkham Knight front. So
Yeah.
moving on to another game that looks like it's been inspired by
Yeah, I was about to say.
Arkham series, Mad Max. So
Hmm.
the gameplay trailer came out. Have you seen it yet,
Yes,
Tanner?
yes, I've seen.
How'd you feel about it?
I thought it was actually pretty good. And the weird thing about it is that we talked about this a long, long time ago and how we were so disappointed when we thought it was Fallout 4.
Yeah.
And then it turned out to be Mad Max. And I had very little confidence in it. But after seeing some gameplay footage and seeing that it's taking some inspiration, for, like the combat wise, from the
Yeah.
Arkham series, I'm kind of like, you know what? This might actually be a pretty solid kind of movie tie in game.
Yeah.
This could possibly be pretty solid. So, but yeah, that's sort of what I think about it so far. I'm a little bit skeptical on how big this wasteland is going to actually be, because they're like, oh, explore the wasteland, sprawling landscapes, and I'm like, I don't think it's going to be that big, but I think I don't know. But what do you think about it so far?
Yeah, I agree with you. It looks better than I thought it would look.
Yeah.
I'll say that right out the gates. It reminded me a lot more of Rage than Fallout, to be
Okay, yeah,
honest.
I can see definitely see
Yeah,
that.
but honestly, I was watching the gameplay and I was like, God, Bethesda really needs to announce Fallout 4. But with that said, the game looks decent. It has the Arkham combat. You've got the car customization.
Mm.
You've got your and yeah, I do agree. The sprawling landscape. It looked. I don't know. It looked like it was it looked big, but it also looked completely empty. So
Yeah.
I don't know how big this open world is going to be.
Mm.
I guess we'll see. But it looked interesting. And hey,
Mm.
you know, here's one funny thing about this. If this Mad Max game comes out and it's actually good, that will be two. That would be two. What's this thing called? Good movie time games in back-to-back years. We
Yeah.
had what's this game called last year? Shadow of Mordor,
Yeah.
and then Mad Max this year. So that would be more. I think that would be more than we've had
In a really
ever.
long time.
Ever, probably. Like, so it looks decent. It looks honestly, it's I think it's gonna end up like Shadow of Mordor. It's not going to
Mm.
be anything crazy. It's going to borrow a lot of stuff from a bunch of different games, but it's going to
Mm.
be a solid video game. It looks good, like graphically speaking, it looked really
Yeah.
good. It is weird that it's tied into the Mad Max game and it doesn't. It's not using Tom Hardy's likeness or
Yeah.
his voice. But
Probably
for
that's
the
probably
best.
how they saved a lot of money.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
probably for the best.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah,
Yeah.
Mad Max.
Yeah, so
Pleasantly
kind of
surprised.
yeah, kind of a pleasant surprise. But something that was not a big surprise, Black Ops 3 released its trailer. I will say something about this. I did actually kind of like the trailer because I really like Painted Black by the Rolling Stones. So I really kind of like that musical choice. And it seems to be a weird little gimmick with the Black Ops series because it seems like they've had a Rolling Stones song in
Yeah.
all of their games.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought that was kind of cool. But, you know, it looks very similar in a lot of ways to Advanced Warfare with the mechs and stuff like that, the exosuits.
Yeah. It's
Um,
sorry.
but I don't know. It's just I watched it and I was like, I'm still not gonna buy it, but it looks it looks okay, I guess.
Okay.
But what are your
Well,
thoughts?
I was actually really impressed.
Oh yeah, really?
I was genuine. Okay. I watched the gameplay trailer. It looks like graphically it looks amazing.
Hmm.
And one thing to note is that it's only coming to current gen consoles. So you know, remember how a couple podcasts ago you were like, "There, gosh, I hope developers start leaving the PS3 and the Xbox 360 behind."
Hmm.
Well, now they are.
Yeah, it seems like they're finally starting to do that.
Yeah, but they mentioned some stuff. I mean, first they mentioned some stuff that actually has me interested. First of all, they were like that there's gonna be 4-player co-op in the campaign.
Hmm.
Yeah, the stages are gonna be open ended, so you can it's not gonna it's it allows for more replayability. You
Hmm.
have you have options in the way you tackle certain situations. It's just gonna be more open ended. Because one of the problems with the Call of Duty games that I found was that after a while, it didn't feel like you were playing the games. It felt like they were just. It felt more like a roller coaster. It was gonna complete itself whether or not you showed up.
Yeah.
But from what I've heard is that it's gonna be more open ended now. It's gonna be 4 player co op. There's gonna be wall running. So I was like, oh my god, people, just
Yeah.
add giant mechs and call it Titanfall.
Yeah,
Seriously.
yeah. It's like wow, they really, really just said, oh, well, Titanfall did it, so time for us to do it.
Because yeah, people were talking about how Advanced Warfare brought a lot of stuff from Titanfall, and then this game gets announced, and it's like, oh yeah, we're adding wall running too. And there's gonna be this other thing that I didn't fully understand: specialist classes, right? They're adding these
Hmm.
things called specialist classes, which is similar to Destiny. They've
Hmm.
announced 4 specialist classes: Ruins, Seraphs,
Hmm.
Outriders, and Reapers. And I think each one has a special ability. Ruins have gravity spikes,
Okay.
which allows them to leap through the air and slam down. Okay, so yeah. So it allows them to jump in the air and do like a shockwave type ability,
Hmm.
and then they also each one has a power. This one's power is overdrive, which accelerates their movement for a short period of time.
Hmm.
Then the Seraph's weapon is the Annihilator, a high caliber revolver that kills enemies in one shot and has
Okay.
penetrating rounds. And then the ability is combat focus, which triggers bonus multipliers to score streak points.
Right.
Then the Outrider's weapon is the Sparrow, a bow with explosive bolts. That sounds yeah.
Very,
I already have
very.
a favorite.
Yeah.
The ability is Vision Pulse, which tags all the enemies in the locations, allowing you to see them through walls. Wow, I
Yeah.
like the sound of that. And the last one announced so far is Reaper, a robot. The weapon is a minigun that comes out of their hand. That's what we saw in the trailer.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
the ability is Glitch, which allows them to flash back to wherever seconds ago. Reading these abilities makes me think they won't be available in multiplayer because they sound.
Really. Although when you're talking about like the what was it, the crossbow bolt that you shoot to kind of like get an area, like mark people that are near the area,
Yeah,
or and you're talking about the robot that can kind of go back, like jump back from like reverse.
Overwatch.
Yeah, I was about to say, I was just like, okay, so it seems like the Call of Duty team just said, okay, what are the games that people are really, really like? Dude, people like Overwatch, people like Titanfall. Let's start grabbing all the shit. And I
Hey,
just,
it's
it's
the
just
same,
kind
man. Good artists borrow, great artists steal. So
of.
But yeah,
uh,
let me see. Actually, it sounds like these are going to be available in multiplayer because you're like these classes are not tied to your leveling and loadout, so you'll not be
yeah.
able to change them in the middle of battle. But you have to think wisely about which one suits you. So yeah, I think they will be available in multiplayer. There's going to be 9 of them, so 5 more to be announced.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But yeah, overall, I like everything I've heard about it.
Mhm.
It actually sounds like first of all, the last Call of Duty I bought was like Modern Warfare 2. So it's
Yeah.
been five
Five,
years since I
yeah.
bought a Call of Duty. So there's already been a lot of changes. But
Mhm.
this sounds like the best Call of Duty in recent memory. To be
Yeah.
honest, I'm definitely gonna be keeping my eye on this, which is something I never thought I'd hear myself say.
Well, you know what's the interesting thing is that back in the day when Modern Warfare was out, and then they would switch between, they would go to Treyarch, because Treyarch were the ones that made World of War, and they're the ones who made Black Ops, right? Well,
Yeah.
back in the day, it was Treyarch was kind of like the B team, and then Infinity
Yeah.
Ward was like, oh god, these are the guys that make the best Call of Duties. And now it seems to have been reversed, because it seems like Infinity Ward are the guys that make the really lackluster Call of Duties, and now Treyarch are the ones that are making the more interesting and creative ones.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's kind of an interesting, like the tables have turned for certainly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just a little bit of a little note. Most of Infinity Ward left after
Yeah,
Modern Warfare
yeah,
2, and they went to go build the team that made Titanfall.
yeah,
So the Infinity Ward that's making Call of Duty now is not the Infinity Ward that made Modern Warfare and Modern
yes,
Warfare 2. So that's just one bit of note. But yeah, ever since Black Ops, Treyarch have been the better team.
Yeah,
They've been
for
making
sure.
the better call because I mean, like I heard a lot of good stuff about Black Ops.
Mm.
I never played it because I was like, screw Call of Duty. I'm done. But I
Yeah.
heard a lot of good stuff about Black Ops and some good stuff about Black Ops 2. So I'm definitely gonna keep my eye on Black Ops 3. I like what I've heard so far.
Yeah,
But
for sure, for
yeah.
sure. But moving on to some other news, Cinder. Cinder gets officially announced. He gets a spiffy
Yeah.
new trailer, and he's got a very Deadpool mindset. Mouthing off at his opponents.
Yeah. He oozes personality. Yeah, I really like what I've seen of him.
Hmm.
The trailer was funny. He was talking shit to everybody pretty much.
Yeah.
He was just running his mouth the entire trailer. I just like his I just love the way he's designed,
Yes.
which is what I've said about almost I think every single
Yeah.
Killer Instinct character. But yeah, I love the way he's designed. Like he has his throw where he picks them up and then he punches them. He punches them twice and then he like shakes his hand off and
Mhm.
punches them a third time. And all
Right.
these little those minor things just make it. Even the way he stands and everything, he just seems like he's enjoying himself.
Yeah.
He's just having so much fun to be out there.
Yeah.
But some gameplay details about him is that he can end his combos early, and what he does this thing where he lights your limbs on fire, right?
Yeah.
Now, if you attack with that limb, you fan the flame,
Mhm.
and the flames. To extinguish the flame, you have to stand still. Like once you're on fire, you have to stand still for a little while. Well, not stand still, but not attack with those limbs.
Right.
And the flames will go out after a short period of time. But if you don't and you keep attacking, you're fanning the flames, and the flames keep growing on you, and they do damage. Well, they don't do damage; they do white damage. So what that is a certain an amount of your life bar is going to be flashing, and if you get hit at all, that bit disappears. So
Right.
you lose that large chunk of life. But if you wait for the flames to extinguish, you heal that life back. So yeah, it's that's one thing. And then he has this other thing where he gains abilities based on, because visually his flames, they increase over time. Like he goes from being just red to being like completely on fire. When he's fully on fire, he gains different abilities, and it's not something the player can control. You just have to keep your eye out. You keep looking at him, and you're like, oh, okay, cool, he's on flame on now, so I can do this, and this, which is interesting. Yeah, overall he looked pretty cool. He's coming out April 30th.
Yeah.
For people that have the Ultra Edition, and I think May 6th for people that don't. So that's cool. Oh, and at the end of the trailer, they announced the final character. Aria, I believe is her name.
I think.
Yeah, she's like the head of Ultra Tech, which is the umbrella of Killer Instinct. And we only saw her silhouette, but she looks like she looks very anime. She looked like a Gundam.
For me, when I saw it, she looks more like a mech angel, like with the wings and stuff like that.
Yeah, like nude Lamba 13 from Blaze Blue, I believe was her name.
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah, she looked very much like her. I've been looking forward to, because I've been hearing about this Arya character for a while now. She's like the main baddie. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what's the deal with her. But yeah, she'll round out season 2, which will bring the Killer Instinct roster to 16 characters, which is pretty big. Yeah. And props to them. Like
because definitely what I want to say about that is that every character they've added to the roster, I think, is unique and creative in their own way, and it's just they all have really interesting designs, and yeah, I think they've really set up a really good roster for this game.
Yeah, and this was a launch title, and we're still talking about it almost 2 years later. So I give them props. Well, not them, because they weren't the original developers, but I give them props for supporting the game this long. We're probably gonna get a season 3 to round out the cast finally. I don't know, maybe not, because two of the reasons people were really excited for season 2 was because people knew Cinder and Riptor were going to be in season 2. So now that Cinder, Riptor, TJ Combo, and Maya have all been added, there really aren't a lot of classic characters left. I can't think of a single one off the top of my head, to be honest. So
it might be better for them to end it on strong than to
yeah,
just,
this might be the final season,
yeah.
which would be kind of disappointed because I have enjoyed following the trailers and seeing the characters at the end of every trailer, like the Marvel movies.
Yeah.
Yeah. But at the same time, yeah, you know, it's also good to leave them wanting more. So
yeah. Exactly. But moving on to some interesting games that you probably haven't heard a whole lot about. Dawn of War Regicide for Warhammer 40K, and Warhammer Total War. Two Warhammer RT kind of like strategy games. One of them seems to be a little more grid-based, you know, definitely more turn-based, and, you know, takes place in the Warhammer 40K universe. And the other one is a full-on Warhammer, like the older one, you know, medieval kind of Warhammer, which is more Total War. So one of them's more futuristic, the other one's more medieval. So a lot of my friends were big fans of the Warhammer series. One of my favorite RTSs is Warhammer 40K Dawn of War, which had a bunch of expansions, and it was just a really, really fun, awesome game, and all the races were really awesome to play as. I mean, come on, like, there's a race called the Necrons, and they're basically a mix between Terminators and zombies. Like, come on, it's just amazing. Can't go wrong with something like that.
Can't go wrong.
Yeah, but I've watched gameplay for both of these games, and to be honest, I think I'm more interested in the Total War one, because I have played the Total War games before. They are these kind of like big sprawling RTS games where you have to like capture different areas of a big map, and you fight in sort of like battles with like big squads of battalions and stuff like that. And I feel for a Warhammer game, that would be a little more interesting and fun. Whereas when I was watching gameplay for Regicide, I was like, I think I like Warhammer 40K's, like, you know, futuristic designs more. But the gameplay is like, look, it's like 5 orcs versus 5 space marines. It's like that's not going to be as exciting as seeing a big sprawling army in Total War. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel you.
But you know, I don't know. I feel Warhammer Total War right now looks like the more interesting title. Regicide might have some interesting ideas, but until I see more gameplay of it, I'm kind of like, eh. But anyway, so I just wanted to put that out there. Some Dawn of War games, because we haven't had a Warhammer game in a really, really long time. Like, I think like about 5-6 years ago was the last one. But moving on from that, we gotta talk about this was. It's the paid mod fiasco that transpired. So I'm gonna try and give everyone the details of what exactly happened. So Valve decided that they wanted to implement a new feature to Skyrim, because Skyrim is a very popular game on Steam, right? And, you know, there's mods. There's a modding community for Skyrim that's been there for a really, really long time. Like, it's like every couple of days there's a new mod for Skyrim, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, they decided that, you know what we want to do? We want to implement a feature that allows these modders, these creators of content, to get a little bit of money. So we're going to implement a feature called paid mods, which is basically, if you're a modder, you can enter an agreement to release a mod in which the Steam people who are using Steam can pay for this mod, and you will gain a profit from it. So like some people were like paying like $5 for a mod or something like that. So they released this, and they thought, okay, this will probably go over pretty well. Boy, were they wrong. They were really, really, really wrong. The PC community just exploded out of sheer hatred, and because the PC community, basically, they explained the reason why they were so mad at this decision was, one, a lot of people thought, you know, mods should be free, like mods should be passion projects, right? So they like making them, you know, having to pay for mods was like it goes against what a mod should be. Like, some people were offended that way. Okay. Other people were offended because even though they originally were like, this will promote better mods, it will promote people to, okay, I'm getting paid for it now, I can put a lot more effort into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
unfortunately, this also means that a lot of people are going to make really shitty mods or really bare bones mods and try and put a price tag on it. Very similar to microtransactions. So that's a very, very bad thing to do. That they probably didn't fully understand what was going to happen as soon as they did that. And then it's just, what was happening is that also people that had free mods, like they released mods for free, they were taking their free mods and putting a price tag in front of them. So people who had downloaded these mods for free, they wanted to, tell people, oh, you should download this mod too. Now it's behind a paywall. So it was just a huge freaking disaster, and there were like petitions to get it removed that were getting signed by like 30,000 people, and people were like just flaming Valve, and everyone was doing the meme of Obi-Wan Kenobi. You were the chosen one. You are supposed to destroy corporate greed, not join them. Don't leave the gaming community in darkness. And I'm just like, oh god. And it was a big fiasco, and I think about literally 5 days after the release. Now, also bear in mind that this was only for Skyrim. Like, they were only doing paid mods for Skyrim. They weren't doing for any other games. It was only for Skyrim. But after about 5 days, they removed it. And they explained why they decided to remove it, and that it was very clear that the community did not want this feature. And they said that they were supportive of their feedback, so now it's gone. But anyway, I'm going to let you get your two cents, but what did you think about this entire thing, for?
That is funny. That's pretty funny. I don't know. I feel like their heart was in the right place, and I mean, people's main issue is that if modders believe that modding should be free, then you release your mod for free.
Yes.
Right? Mm-hmm. So I mean, it's not like they put a price tag on all the mods. If the modders chose to make it free or not, right?
Yes.
So I mean, if the modders are choosing to charge people for their mods, then then maybe you people who are complaining that modding should be free kind of have the wrong idea. You get where I'm coming from. I like giving people options,
Yes.
And I'm like, people put time into mods, so I think I definitely feel like there should be a way for them to be rewarded for their effort. Like someone released a mod for, was it for Morrowind?
Yes.
That had the entire game running on the Skyrim engine. Do you know how much time that would take?
That would take a lot of time. And yeah.
So I feel like that person should if he feels like, you know what, this is an amazing mod, I want to charge people for it, I feel like, he should have the option to. But, people are like, I mean, change, people hate change.
Yes.
And then people hate change that requires them to pay more than they used to pay. So, I completely get why the people are complaining, but I don't agree with it, no. I feel like, people are talking about how, I feel like the argument is flawed. Yeah.
Yes.
They're saying that, people shouldn't charge for their mods, and I'm like, people can do whatever the hell they want to do with their mods. It's their mods,
Yeah.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Basically, how I saw it was like, look, guys, I think part of the problem was it was miscommunication. It's not that all mods are becoming now you have to pay for them, because you still get your free mods.
Yeah.
And I feel like the idea that mods should always be free is a little bit archaic, because look, people gotta eat.
Exactly.
People gotta eat, so if they're gonna spend 17 hours and not be at their their part-time job, and they're working on modding the game, then yeah, they kind of need to have a little bit of money. Like this is just the reality. And I feel like part of the problem was that there was also a fact that I did kind of gloss over, and I do have to state, is that the thing that I do agree with people that was scummy was Steam, in the agreement, said that they would take 75% of the profit from any paid mod, and the modder would get 25% of the profit.
Yeah.
Now, okay, somebody pointed out, like, this, I wouldn't be as mad about if it was a Valve game, like if it was Team Fortress 2 or something like that, right? Because it's their game. But technically, Skyrim is Bethesda's game. So the only thing that Valve is actually doing is hosting the mods. So they haven't put any actual like effort into creating them at all. Like with Bethesda, they built the code, right? So you're modifying the code, hence the name. So that would make a little more sense, but the fact that Steam's getting 75% for basically doing nothing was really, really scummy.
Yeah,
and
that's the point.
Yeah,
right.
But basically, I would have liked to see this at least be reworked instead of removed completely, because I feel like there would have been a lot of good things about this. I would have liked to have seen some paid mods, because it would have allowed the community to put a lot more money and effort into making some really good mods. Like, could you imagine like fan DLC that was built from the fan base for the fan base?
Exactly.
Yeah, so that would have been really, really cool. And it was just, I feel like what happened is that it was very poorly implemented, and there was just a really big overreaction, and the only way to do damage control was to just remove it entirely. But I will say this. Yes, it did attract a lot of really scummy mods where, like, basically some of them were basically microtransactions. I think there was one kind of jokey one where it was pay $25.99 to add an apple to this room in Skyrim. And the description was basically like, have you ever walked into this store in the Winter Run or White Run, and it's just you wish that desk had an apple, and you were just dying to have an apple there? Well, now you can for the low price of $25.95 or something like that.
Wow.
Oh God, I can only imagine if someone actually bought that.
But see, in that situation, that person's an idiot, and they don't deserve to have money. So
yes.
But I agree with you. I feel like there was an overreaction, and it was poorly implemented, and people overreacted as a result. So, Valve was just like, you know what, this isn't worth the trouble, especially since this is not even our game.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So I feel like this is just an interesting thing about how the PC community reacts to stuff very differently than other communities would. Because I feel like if this was introduced in a completely different community, this would have there would be a much different reaction, I feel.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we're gonna have to wrap it up. But before we wrap it up, we got a couple questions from Lobster Monk. Now, one of them we did already answer. Like, he was really interested what our thoughts of Warhammer Total War was. So we kind of covered that.
Yeah.
And he was also wanting to know about the Top Hat DLC in Bloodborne. So I got this. Okay. So basically the Top Hat DLC is basically just like kind of like a pre-order DLC essentially. For the game. If you pre-ordered it or you got the special edition or whatever, you could customize your little dudes that hold up like messages and stuff like that with a special hat. The one thing though is that I will admit that's kind of funny is a lot of people couldn't figure out how to activate this, because the place that you activate this is kind of hidden. Like, it's not in a very obvious place, so people are like, I got this DLC and I can't even use it. What the hell, guys? And then you have to actually go through these hidden bushes in the back of this special room and find this random stump that looks like nothing. It looks like literally nothing, and then you walk up to it and you can actually, add your hats and stuff like that. So, I mean, like, it's just a very basic DLC. It doesn't really have much. It's just cosmetic, really. Like, in a weird way, it's kind of like Bloodborne having a little bit of cosmetic DLC, which is really odd because the Souls series has never really had something like that.
Yeah.
I am a little bit worried that this is a very, very... I don't think this would ever happen, but it would be really kind of worrying if it's like, oh, people really like the hat DLC. We could make all kinds of different hats for Bloodborne. All sold for $9.99 or something like that. And it's like, oh,
yeah,
God.
I don't think that's ever going to happen.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen, but, oh, God, wouldn't that be nightmarish? But anyway, so I think we're going to wrap things up. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. And if you leave a comment in the comment section, we'll make sure to answer in the next podcast. And as always, this was William Liberty and...
Fuaz Muhammad Yusuf.
And we'll see you guys next time. Take care.
Bye.